Over the last few months, I've been showing you a few Marina brochures, and those videos have been quite well received. Now that little series has come to its natural conclusion, I thought we'd move on to the Marina's brother. This is a 1978 brochure for the Austin Allegro 2, another car that people love to hate for some reason. As I mentioned, this is the Series 2 Allegro, and by this point the car had been in production for 5 years. The Series 2 brought a few upgrades to the Allegro, the most obvious being a new grille and the discontinuation of that famous Quartic steering wheel. This cover is a bit strange. There's no identification barring what's on the car, and the shot itself is a bit weirdly framed of the front end. The first page is an overview before we get into the actual range later on, and I feel it does a much better job of explaining the engineering of the car than the Marina brochures did. We'll start with this table over here on the left, which takes an overview of the engines and trim levels, and what actually shows through here is where the Allegro gets its drivetrain from. In true Isagoni style, the gearboxes are in the sump, and the two smaller engines are A-series units, most famously used in the Mini, and the two larger ones are E-series units, most famously used in the Maxi. The two A-series units were also used in ADO 16, the Allegro's predecessor, but the bigger engines show how the Allegro is due to take up a larger portion of the market than the old car, but of course that never happened. Allegro employs some very advanced engineering to achieve its aim of big car comfort with small car economy. The essential compactness is created by placing the engine directly over the gearbox and setting the combined unit transversely to drive the front wheels. Front wheel drive is important too, because it eliminates the need for a bulky space-wasting propeller shaft, and in conjunction with steel-braced radial-plied tyres, it inspires confident, safe handling, especially on wet or snow-covered roads. The engine compartment, designed for ease of servicing, is unusually spacious and neat in layout. The dipstick, the reservoirs and the fuse box are very accessible indeed. Notice that the radiator is conventionally placed in front of the car, where it helps keep dirt and damp out of the engine bay. However, instead of the usual belt drive, the fan is electrically driven. This cuts in automatically only when extra cooling draft is needed, contributing usefully to less noise and lower fuel consumption. The Allegro was the first car to feature the new hydrogas system, following on from the success of hydrolastic in the ADO 16 and the Maxi, to give just two examples. There's a small diagram here to demonstrate, and it reads, "What really sets Allegro apart from its rivals is the unique suspension system called hydrogas. The front and rear suspension units on each side are interconnected, so for instance when a front suspension unit is compressed by a bump in the road, the rear suspension reacts immediately, and any tendency of the car to pitch is minimised before it happens. When cornering, both outer suspensions firm up, excessively controlling excessive roll. The suspension's springing medium is nitrogen gas, whilst damping and interconnection is achieved with a water-based fluid. Hydrogas is light, compact, and requires no routine maintenance, and gives a smooth, big car ride." Good suspension is an important safety feature, but really effective braking is naturally imperative. That's why Allegro makes absolutely no compromises to efficiency. Even the lowest priced models have independent dual circuit brakes. All have servo assistance to lighten the pedal load, and discs at the front where maximum braking power is needed. The quality of Allegro's steering is reassuring too. The rack and pinion gear affords a direct feel which is neither so light to be skittish, nor so heavy as to be parking resistant. Now up here at the top it mentions aerodynamics, and there's a myth that I want to talk about here. A lot of people will tell you that an Allegro is more aerodynamic going backwards than it is going forwards, and they're right. But that's also true of a heck of a lot of cars. One of the reasons for this is that cars tend to have grills on the front of them, and grills destroy aerodynamics. There's a very good reason that the new BMW 3 Series has a clever grille that can close itself when it's not needed, because they are not good things to have, but they are unfortunately necessary. As I've mentioned in my other brochure videos, if you want to read anything or look in depth at anything, just pause the video now. We start, as always, at the bottom of the Allegro range, the 1100 Deluxe, resplendent in its most 70s of shades. This may be the lowest priced of the Allegros, but basic it is most certainly not. Just check the standard equipment against any other comparably priced family car. Here's the perfect vehicle for local driving, for getting the children to school, or for serving the larger family as a second car. There's a choice of 2 or 4 doors. 2 is ideal for solo drivers and the young family, while 4 is obviously convenient if more than one passenger is often carried. And 4 is fine for children too, since the rear doors have play-proof child safety catches. But where the Allegro 1100 Deluxe really scores is in its level of comfort and equipment. You get fitted carpets and not rubber mats. The door trim goes right up to window level and doesn't leave ugly exposed painted metal, unlike some rivals. Every passenger has an armrest. There are button-type coat hooks, a vanity mirror, and the fascia panel has been intelligently laid out to give really generous storage space for sunglasses, gloves, maps, documents, sweets, etc. It's the same story in the mechanical equipment. There's a very effective 2-speed fresh air heater, face level vents, heated rear window, hazard warning lights, fingertip control stalks, interior bonnet release, alternator, and comprehensive instrumentation. All these features, yet remember that this is still the lowest priced of the Allegros. BL seems to be doing a very good job of putting the Allegro in normal street scenes, but clearly isn't exploring the limits of either photography or the car's design. All the shots are very normal, they're very mundane. This one is so 70s, I'm almost expecting Arkwright or Gerger Granville to walk out of their shop in a minute. Second up the range is the 1300 Super, a little bit smarter with its cloth seats and coach lines down the side. If motoring means more than just local journeys, the extra pulling power of the 1275cc engine will be fully appreciated. It's quicker up the hills, sooner past the slow-moving truck, faster on the motorway, and yet fuel economy is still outstanding. The Allegro 1300 Super offers an attractive balance of low running costs, ample space, and first-rate comfort. It takes the Allegro formula a stage further with even more comprehensive equipment to match its longer distance role. Now, confession time everybody, I quite like the way the Allegro looks. It is too tall, which makes it somewhat blobby, and the relationship between the indicators and the front headlamps is dodgy to say the least, but I think they did a relatively good job. If only parts sharing and internal politics didn't get in the way, we might have seen the sleek, wedgy concept that Harris Mann originally conceived. Now the 1500 Super. Same equipment as the 1300 Super, just with the larger overhead cam 1500cc E-Series engine that debuted in the Maxi in 1969 with a 5-speed gearbox underneath it. Also comes with twin horns apparently. You'll notice that it's now also only 4-door. 4 doors are of course more expensive, so 2-door models are only for the peasants further down the range. Put a thoroughly modern overhead camshaft engine in a thoroughly modern chassis, provide an extra high 5th gear, and you've created a truly formidable long-distance cruiser. It's called the Allegro 1500 Super. This compact, inexpensive family car matches the pace and refinement of far larger and more costly vehicles. Indeed, it could well claim to be the most advanced and efficient car of its class. A bit more picturesque this time over here. Shame about the rather drab black dashboard, although that's a criticism I make of any car with black interior to be honest. But at least the seats have a nice bit of colour. But yeah, much more picturesque. Now the Allegro starts to become a bit more luxurious with the 1500 Special. And by luxurious I mean the old definition, which is more comfort and better materials rather than technology. The Allegro 1500 Special proves conclusively that comfort and size are not inseparable. In so doing, it has created a class of motoring that is particularly well suited to the needs of today. Look at the luxury. The soft, well-shaped seats are upholstered in velour cloth, which looks and feels superb. Cushioned head restraints on the front seats afford extra protection and make the fully reclined position even more comfortable. Additional protection is given to the door sills by smart aluminium strips, and the gear lever and handbrake have stitched gaiters. All this in addition to the luxury equipment already found on the 1500 Super, together with the option of an automatic transmission. Velour is a lovely material, and I really don't know why we don't get it on modern cars. Again, shame about the black, but I can forgive it that for all its lovely velouriness. The exterior is really smart on this one as well. I'm loving the shade of blue and the vinyl roof, as well as that little black strip on the bottom of the boot lid. But the best bit about the Allegro 1500 Special, of course, is this bloke's moustache. Over the page is the ultimate Allegro, the 1750 HL, with the larger version of the E-Series engine, complete with twin SU carburettors, making about 90 brake horsepower in this trim. And that's quite a lot of power for a car of this size in this era, and the description goes all in on the HL's credentials. This is the Allegro for those who want to enjoy performance as much as comfort. Motor Magazine road tested the top speed at a shade under 100 miles per hour, with a 0 to 60 miles per hour time of only 10 seconds. A pace which makes many larger and more expensive sporting saloons seem overrated. And yet they found the touring fuel consumption to be an excellent 31.6 miles per gallon. The Allegro's advanced mechanical specification ensures that you enjoy this performance in safety. The independent hydrogas suspension keeps the wheels firmly on the ground, and larger steel-braced radial ply tyres give the extra grip needed. The dual-circuit disc drum brakes with servo assistance reduce your speed quickly and efficiently, and the rack and pinion steering provides excellent feel and swift response. A slightly more 70s shade than we had on the last page here, more interesting colours on the seats, and still that lovely velour interior. Here we get to the Allegro Estates. Remember I commented on the two-door cars being for the peasants? Well, the more practical Estates were only ever three-door for some strange reason. You'd think the estate car buyer would appreciate more doors. After all, they clearly want the extra practicality. But BL thought not. First, we have the 1300 and 1500 Super. Of course, allowing outdoor activities that you'd never do in a saloon car. Oh no. BL are making a big thing about the Allegro Estate being every bit as refined as the saloon, just with the extra practicality. And here are the specifications. For anybody interested, just pause the video now. And also the dimensions over on this side. Now, on the back cover we have fuel economy over here, and an advert for Supercover, BL's service scheme. The most interesting thing here though is the history of this particular brochure. Clearly the person that picked it up did so to look at a used Allegro. I mean, this brochure doesn't apply to a 1973 Allegro, but the brochure is dated October 1978. So whoever this is was looking at a one-owner, 5-year-old, 42,000 mile Allegro with MOT till September for £1,000. So, there you go. A look at a brochure for the Allegro. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking the video and subscribing to TwinCam as well. I'll catch you again midweek when we'll be looking at the poshest Allegro, the Van den Plas 1500, which I have over here.